Sharps and flats are sometimes called accidentals. A sharp raises any note up a half step to the next nearest note. So if we start with the note F and add a sharp in front of it, it goes up a half step. That's F sharp. Here's a G followed by G sharp. Now flats, on the other hand, lower any note down a half step to the next nearest note. So the note D goes down a half step to become D flat. And the note A becomes the note A flat. It's important to notice that there can be different names for the same note. For example, this note on the piano can be called either F sharp or G flat. In this way, every note on the piano has more than one name. And one more thing to notice, when an accidental is added to any note, that accidental applies to that note for the rest of that measure. For example, in this melody, we don't need to place a sharp in front of this F, because the F sharp on the previous note applies for the entire measure. So the performer will play F sharp for both of these. We do, however, have to add an F sharp here since it's in a new measure. But once again, this accidental will last for the entire measure, so the performer will play F sharp here too. Now, at the beginning, we often think of sharps and flats as black notes, but this is not always true. As I said, a sharp raises any note up to the next nearest note. So if we start with an E and add a sharp to it, we get E sharp. And if you look at the piano, it looks just like an F. And in fact, this note can be called either E sharp or F. The fancy name for this is enharmonic equivalent. Same note, different spelling. And one more concept before we wrap up this segment: double sharps and double flats. A double flat looks just like it sounds, like two flats, and it lowers any note by 2 half steps. So if we start with the note D and add a single flat, we get the note D flat. But if instead we have a double flat, that D has to be lowered by 2 half steps. And this note actually has 3 potential names: C, B sharp, or D double flat. A double sharp looks like an X, and it raises any note by 2 half steps. So if we start with a D again, and we add a single sharp, we get the note D sharp. But if instead we add a double sharp, that original D is raised by 2 half steps. And on the piano, this is the same note as E. To try this out in Music Theory Pro, go to the Note Names game and be sure to turn on the accidentals.